Alright, so let's talk about this thing that we see so often in Algebra 1, which is called slope-intercept form, and it is this equation looking thing that says y equals mx plus b, and that is what slope-intercept form is. It's kind of like a formula, and it tells us a couple things. It tells us what m is. And so m is our first important thing, and what m is slope. And slope tells us, if we had a coordinate plane over here, slope tells us how steep the line is and whether it's a positive or whether it's a negative slope. So if it were a negative slope, it would start from the top and go down. If it were a positive slope, but maybe it's not as steep, it would look something like that. And so this number right here, this m, that tells us exactly what the slope is going to do. And so that's great, but we can have lines that have the same slope but start at different places. And so that's where this part b, that's where that comes into play, because b tells us where on the graph it's going to start. So it tells us that point there, that would be about positive something, maybe plus 8, maybe this is plus 1, and this is negative 8. And so those are what the two things suggest. That's what m and b means. So m is slope. Slope is also known as rise over run. So this would be a good thing to write down, rise over run, if you're not familiar with it. And rise over run tells us this. So if we have this line here, our rise, say we've got 2 points on this line, that one and that one. Rise is how much it goes up, and then run, so that's rise. Run is how much it goes over. So that would be our run. And more on that later, but whenever you see this, y, everything I've written in black, so y equals and then x plus, those are just things that are always going to be included in the equation, but except for a couple specific moments. But y equals and then x plus, those are all just things that are set. The m and the b are the things that we're interested in searching for. So we're always going to be, in most of these problems, you're going to be searching for what m is and what b is. We talked a little bit about b, and b, remember, is this point right here. It's wherever it crosses this axis, wherever it crosses the y-axis. So let me just delete these. So y equals b equals the y-intercept. So b is wherever it crosses this line. So say we had b is -2, then we would go down to 1, 2, and there would be a point right there. And so if it gives you b is -2, then you can always put a point right there. And then say it gives us that m equals 2, which is the same as m equals 2 over 1. Then that means that we're going to do rise over run. So we're rising 2 and running 1. See how rise is in the numerator and 2 is in the numerator and 1 is in the denominator. We're rising 2 and running 1. So on our graph, we're going to go up 2 and over 1 and plot another point right there. Same thing, keep going up 2 over 1, and then up 2 over 1. And then you can just draw a line over those, and that tells you what the slope is for the equation. And the same way, even if it doesn't give us what b is and what m is, we can look at the graph and see what's happening. We see that we've got a point at 0, -2, and we've got a point at 1, 0. And if we have that, we know exactly where it's crossing the y-axis, where it's crossing there. Then we can write an equation. So just like we've got y equals mx plus b written at the top, we're going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to fill in those black parts, leave a space for the m and a space for the b. And so what is our slope again? Our slope was 2. So we've got y equals 2x plus b, which is our intercept, and it's what's going on right there. That's our y-intercept. So it's happening at -2. So instead of having a plus sign, we're going to have a minus sign, since it's at -2. So that's our equation, is y equals 2x minus 2. So hopefully this gives you an idea of the different parts that go into finding out what it is y equals mx plus b. You can find m by looking at the slope. You can find b by wherever it crosses the y-axis.